Hang on a second. I'm $60,000 in the red. That was me when I was first starting my business because I have absolutely no idea what I was doing. I'm the product of immigrants who weren't entrepreneurs. I also had a full-time job. And so when I did start my business on the side, how much I was making was a little bit irrelevant because I was still collecting a paycheck. But I'll tell you that when I became a full-time entrepreneur, those were dark days. I'm not proud to tell you. I'm actually going to share something really vulnerable here. I remember I had this little silver box where I kept all of my change. And I remember a morning where I was dumping out change and counting it so that I had enough money to get on the subway to get to work. That's how bad it had gotten because I didn't know my numbers. I also didn't know how to run a business. And P.S., this is within the last decade. It's not like this was like 20 years ago. Look, I know that starting a business is incredibly overwhelming. In the beginning, you say yes to everything. I said yes to everything because I wanted to gain traction. I needed to build awareness. So I worked for free and I worked for a discount and I didn't value my time. I was the worst negotiator in the world for my own value. I was a great survivor. But there came a day where I made a decision that I was no longer going to just eke by. It was a terrible feeling. I wanted to not survive. I wanted to thrive in this business. So in the beginning, I used to say yes to everything. Today, I am 13 years into my business, and two things I'll tell you. I pretty much say no to everything. In fact, just this week, a friend of mine asked me if I would organize a birthday party, and I said I don't have the capacity to do that right now, nor do I want to do 50 rounds of I'm so busy in order to arrive at a date. The second thing I'll say is that as of today, I make all of my revenue for the year by January. It's locked in, and I have that freedom and security to think big picture about what I'm going to do next. So in today's video, I'm going to share the daily, the weekly, the monthly, and the quarterly habits that got me to that level of success. Daily, three things. Number one, I review the vision that I have constructed for my life every morning. In other words, what am I getting out of bed for if I don't know what I'm funneling up to? Now, if that sounds hard, what I've done is bucket out my vision into 5 categories: spiritual, health, partner, business, and financial. And I have goals inside of each of those categories. The second thing that I do is every single night I journal. I say to myself, what is the most important thing that I need to do tomorrow? And how do I need to arrange my day in order for me to be able to do that? And number 3, I found this in Jesse Puggi's newsletter. What is my joy level? In other words, if I had to rank on a level from 1 to 10, what would I say my joy level is? Yesterday, for example, I would say I was at a 6 or 7. Well, I had a client who postponed the contract that we were going to work on for the next 60 days. But what offset that was I kept a promise to myself. I was going to go to the locals farmers market and get some plants to fill out the plants on my terrace. And I got fresh bread rather than processed bread from Wegmans. Then I write down what would make my day a 10. And this is a really important step because this is where the clues lie on how I can make my life better. So in repeatedly asking myself this question over the last few months, I've discovered that I love interior decorating and making sure my home is beautiful. In fact, this weekend, Matt and I are redoing the deck tiles on our terrace. Number 2, I, of course, love travel and adventure. And if I can dedicate a little bit of time every day to planning an upcoming adventure, that gives me tremendous joy. And then number 3, it's actually one of my values, spending time with friends and having meaningful conversation. There is a direct correlation between the level of joy that I have and the amount of money that I make. All right, let's talk about the 3 weekly things that I do in order to be able to have the business that I have today. Number 1 rule, every Sunday, I call it my Sunday strategy day. I sit down and I dump everything that I have to do down on paper. P.S. Your brain is a terrible, terrible container for your to-do list. It's better to get it all down on paper and then strategize. I say no to brunches. I say no to things with friends. Sundays are my day to strategize about my business, both what happened in the week before and what's happening in the week upcoming. Number two, as I'm looking at my calendar, I'm seeing if all of the activities that are planned, I have stuff that's planned all week long, right? People I'm meeting, dinners I'm having, networking activities, calls that I'm doing. I'm looking at all of that and seeing, are they actually funneling up to my goals? More importantly, are my daily habits making it possible for me to reach those goals? What's an example? I have a certain revenue number that I want to make this year. A daily habit to support that is, am I reaching out? In addition to my sales team, am I reaching out to 10 people that I want to connect with or could be a referral source every single day? Number three, I journal about my wins for the week. I journal what drained me, what excited me, what's working and what's not working. I think this is an important sort of overview of the week because you look for patterns, you look for codes, and enough of those codes and patterns keep showing up, you can proactively make a different choice about how you want to spend your week. What different habits do you need to adopt? All right, let's talk about what I do monthly. There's three things. Number one, I created a report card. I learned this from Dr. Benjamin Hardy, who is an organizational psychologist. He actually publicly publishes a report card on how he did against the goals that he set back in December. So I have these all saved in my Google Doc, and every month I go back to those 5 categories that define the vision for my life, and I look at the goals that I set in each of those buckets. How did I do against what I was hoping I would do? What do I need to change? Or maybe is that goal not even relevant anymore? Number two, I take that entire report card and put it into ChatGPT, and I ask it, what insights did you glean from me doing this monthly look back? Number three is that I also challenge ChatGPT to say, what do I need to double down on next? Now, doesn't mean that I take everything that ChatGPT spits out as gospel, but at least it gives me some clues like, hey, you have a great Substack community, but how are you going to up the paid subscriptions? Could you be doing a live Q&A? Could you be offering exclusive content? That's an insight that I wouldn't have gotten had I not put it into ChatGPT. I believe in using it as your assistant, not replacing you, not doing the thinking for you, but as an assistant. And then quarterly, I don't have 3 things for you. I do one thing and one thing only, which is that I take myself out of country. Maybe you don't want to take yourself out of country, but you can at least take yourself out of your environment and do a staycation or a retreat somewhere else. But this is solitude time for me to get a 10,000-foot view on my business and really start to sit with the narrative that I am telling myself. What is a story that I've been telling myself that isn't working anymore? And what's the new story that I want to tell in the next chapter? Now, it'd be so easy for me to just not do the thing. So that's why I have all my trips planned for the year in January, so I know that the accountability is baked in. I have to get on a plane and get out of my environment and think about my business in this 10,000-foot way. I have a little resource for you. For my weekly look back, I have a little download that I've created called my Sunday Strategy Day. I believe in starting small, so that link is down below. All you got to do is click on it and you can get my Sunday Strategy Day cheat sheet. Write me in the comments. Let me know if any of this is actually working for you. I'd love to know.